That's what we came here for, the polarities.
I know. I know. Man, it's just like it's like, you know, it's like the years like when you fill the sink up or the bathtub with water and you drain it and it starts creating that whirlpool at the end and sucking all the water down. It feels like that's the speed of 2021. It just gets faster and faster. The
It's
more we go,
happening. I
yeah, it's
feel that. I feel like the the energy of the old world
yeah,
is going down the drain, and it's spiraling
yeah,
down the drain.
yeah, exactly. And it's getting loud as it goes down. You know what I mean?
It
I mean, it
is.
really is uh, almost stupid, really.
Oh.
It's kind of hard to look at some of these headlines and they don't even make any sense.
And some yicky stuff goes down the drain too.
Yeah, yeah,
That happens, and we look at it, and we can take it, to use that bathtub analogy. We can look at it any number of ways. You can just look at the drain. You can just totally look at the gunk as it goes down the drain, or you can really feel the clean.
yeah.
Oh, feel how clean it is now. So you can focus either way.
Uh, Jenny Jablonski was on yesterday. She just put up a comment. Can you feel the intense energy right now? To me, yesterday was a bit of a pause, not too much. I mean, but I woke up this morning and the physical body, you know, um, not fatigued, but like it's been working out, or I don't know. I'd love to know what we're doing in dream state because it's got to be a lot. We got to be doing a lot.
So busy, so busy in dream state. I came to your show in dream state.
Did you
We
really?
were Last night's dream. We were broadcasting from what looked like maybe a school auditorium,
Right.
and we were on after a school play, and you were holding up a Herkimer diamond, and the person who was supposed to show up would show up when the Herkimer diamond glowed.
Wow. And see, 2 or 3 days ago, I had, and I've had that before, like where they'll in a dream, I'll, I guess, connect with the person coming on the next day. But it hasn't happened a lot, and it hasn't happened recently. But it happened about 3 or 4 days ago. This lady came on that I'd never done a show with, and 2 nights in a row, she came into my lucid dream, and we had this whole adventure thing going on. It was her and I and some other people, and then so this would be two of the last 4 nights, and then another night we were, I don't know who it was, but we were on the show, and it was similar to what you're talking about. We were doing the show. There was a computer console, but we were live too, like in an auditorium. So I don't know what we're doing in dream state, but I sure would like to know.
The other person who offered to come on with me on the show was Marianne Savino, whom you know, who's been on your
Yeah, of
show many
course.
times.
Yeah, yeah. Was she in the dream she offered,
She
or
was in a dream.
she? Well, she just wrote me. I've got so many messages. Every time I catch up on these things, I let it. I don't know what. Like last week, I don't know what happened. There was just this avalanche of people requesting to come on, and now I'm behind again. I'm probably 50 or 60 messages, but I saw one from her. I think she wants to do a show in February.
Yeah.
Um, I know that's going to be a big month. Second month, 2022,
Oh,
on the second, on the 22nd. Yeah. So, how you been? How's it
I
going with
have
you?
I have been really holding holding a lot of space.
Yeah.
Holding a lot of space for those who are watching the drain,
Yeah.
who are watching that, and also at the same time rebuilding the new world. And
Yeah.
so there is this play. You can't pretend gunk is not going down the drain.
Yeah.
You can't just do that and ignore we're here to build a new world also. So I've
Yeah.
been very much in both places, being the only one who knows what's going on basically in my area.
Yeah.
So I'm still like working. It's like I'm working deep cover. It's very crazy.
Well, and it's obviously in our grand design here, we've created this what looks like a complicated, realm, from the finite human mind anyway. But the more we get into this, the more I just think every single thing that's thrown in our face, and I mean by that is whatever the narratives that are being pushed, which are both not just presenting one side. Like if you look at COVID and mandates and vaccines, that's kind of a one-sided propaganda. You don't see a lot of stuff opposing it unless you go onto social media and individual people. But for the most part, the narrative represents both sides. To me, it's just all the same thing to keep us. It's a diversion to keep us distracted
Mhm.
until we choose ourselves, and ultimately, that would, to me, make sense is where we get to. But it's just Morgan's in Australia, and the restrictions and suppression and lawless laws that are being opposed or proposed and uh, you know enforced, I guess, or at least the threat of it. It's just crazy. And if you look at Austria, the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, and even here in the United States, you can see. But I don't know. I just feel like it's going to get, almost like a balloon. You blow up a balloon until it can't take anymore, and then it just pops.
You know how you said, Todd, that we're really looking at ourselves?
Yeah.
Today is 12/2/21.
Yeah.
It's a mirror of itself.
12/2/221. Yeah, you're right. It's, what do they call that? Something Graham? I didn't realize today's it's 12/2/2021. Backwards, it's 12/2/221. Take the zero out, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Well, I've said this before. In November of 2017, I remember I used to do a lot of shows with Amanda Lawrence, and back in the early days when we first started to really expand. And I remember her and a couple of other people. Oh, it's a palindrome. Thank you, Brendan. Uh, but I remember her and some other people saying that from here out, any days that contain twos and ones were going to be power days. And now we're at we're on the precipice of 2022, which means that you're going to have an extra two, and then you're going to have dates like January 1, January 2, 11 and 12, 20, January 20, 21, 22, and then of course February. And that date, February 22nd, 2022, Morgan's been saying that's a big, big day.
It's a big one.
Yeah. So I feel like that, I know that in the Southern Hemisphere, the seasons are opposite, but to me, it really feels like we're going into the dead of winter. And of course, we got this day, this palindrome day. We've got what? We got an eclipse in 2 days. We got the solstice, and then you got 12/22/2021. There's another day,
Yeah.
uh, and then of course into 2022. It just feels like that final decomposition before the resurrection that comes in spring, right? I feel like it's going to be a really good year next year, although I think we're going to see a lot of um, things that might try to take our attention and make us think otherwise.
Right. By now, we can be used to seeing distractions and seeing them as distractions
Yeah,
and continuing to go inward.
yeah,
That's the only place that's real that we know. It's inside. That's it. Anything outside is up for grabs.
Yeah. And then there's this non-awakened state in the human experience, which, I'm having a very difficult time with sleep. Um, my body doesn't want to go to sleep. It doesn't feel like it wants to go to sleep. I don't mentally want to go to sleep, but I'm also excited when I do go to sleep because so much happens in dream state. And I've been asking for the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, can I please have more comprehension or more recollection of what's happening in dream state? Now, when I first made this appeal a few days ago, I immediately got back, you can't know it all because it'll just blow you up. I mean, it's too much information, but which I can only take on as, as the individual goes, so goes the collective, that I was receiving, like, you will be receiving a little bit more, a little bit more, and a little bit more. There just seems to be some type of connection in terms of like the integration of the awakened and what we call the sleep state. But that's just my amateur take on it.
Let me ask you this, Todd. Okay, are you also getting momentary glimpse, momentary downloads of that which you cannot put in words,
Yes.
but this incredible, infinite understanding that you can't hang on to
Yes. Yeah.
during the
That's
waking state, not even
yeah.
during sleep?
No. Yeah. That's been going on for a while. I think it's always gone on if I really think about it. But this year, it seems to be coming so fast that you get the download and or the lesson and or the experience and or the alignment and activation, and it all happens at the same time. So you're
Yeah.
going, what the hell was all that? And you don't have clear cognitive, from the human consciousness recollection of what you just received, but there's this knowing that kind of parallels this other knowing. And so the first knowing is, well, what I just received, when I need it, it will come. And then the other knowing is, regardless of all this stuff going down that drain, right? With all the distortion getting louder, with the physical ramifications of the energy bombarding the earth and the mental, the emotional, and so on, that beneath it all, there's this very steady, deliberate, ascending frequency within myself that just knows this is getting really cool, and it doesn't make any sense if you look at some of the things that are happening, but I think that's the whole point, is that what you said at the beginning. You said we're not just watching the deconstruction of the old world, but we're watching the reconstruction of the new world, and that's where you're putting your efforts. And I really feel like that's really important, because I think we've underestimated for too long the power of our imagination and our ability to construct heaven on earth from our own being and our own blend of mind and imagination, intuition, telepathy, and so on.
Blended, all blended. Imagine.
Hmm.
We're putting energy. That's the first thing that happens. And then it physicalizes, then it manifests.
Yeah.
But first we are pre-creating it.
Right. Right. And a lot of people have talked about the the lessening of linear time from the point of conception, right, in the imagination, to the actual physicalization. Sometimes even, little things happening the same day. People have come on the show and said, man, I wish I could have I'll just make something up, like, I wish I could have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, 3 hours later, somebody offers them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, it's very cool if you pay attention to the subtleties. All this stuff is right in front of our face. Everything is speaking to us constantly, and it's becoming
Constantly.
more um, comprehensible. It's there's something in us that's giving us the ability to see more, hear more, and I was sitting here last night and I was in my own little space, and I was in that state of, man, am I just making this stuff up or what? And then I hear a dog howl, and then I hear a train's horn, right? And then for some reason, I go, is this just me? Because I had an experience with Franco last night, and I was telling Morgan about it. So I was off the phone, and this had happened to me with the train and the dog, and I go, did that happen with Franco? And then all of a sudden, my phone dinged, right? Like it was just somebody with a notification, but I thought, oh, wait a minute, no. You can always explain everything away, but if you really think about it, all those coincidences line up. The 11-11s and 33-33s and the different, synchronicities throughout the day. We're on the path. There's no question about it.
Yeah, you can explain away, and then you'll get another synchronicity, and then you'll explain that, and then the universe will pile up as many synchronicities as it takes for you to get it.
Yeah.
And the lag between imagining something and it manifesting is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah. The other thing I'm noticing too is that, if we go back in our lives, I'm going to be 60 linear years in a few days. And if you just go back even like 50, 40, 30, 20 years, if I go back and look at the level of attachment that we had to the narratives that's presented to us, and we can talk about Illuminati, 1%, whatever, however you want to, the Vatican, whatever, it doesn't matter. But my point is that almost like with 9/11, right? It started, that false flag frequency starts to wear off. And as the days go by, fewer and fewer people are attaching to it, even though the narrative is being expanded. Like it's almost like we're trying to be induced or hooked as and the only thing that's working is things that are more demonstrative, more fascinating, more juicy, more sensational, yet people aren't buying it. They're just not buying it. And it's pretty amazing. I went to Walmart last night, and I don't like to go there because I'm not against anything external, but when I go, I have to go, and because I'm in a small town, and I was in the one section. I was in the pharmaceutical section, healthcare, and I heard these two employees talking, and they weren't being like victim consciousness. They were just talking about how they couldn't get anybody to come to work. They're asking everybody to work longer hours because they're short staffed. They don't have, I mean, like in just 2 or 3 minutes, I just happened to hear what they were saying. I could just kind of get a feel for the way that the deconstruction was occurring in some of these pillars, if you will, of the old matrix, such as a Walmart. And, they were just talking about how everybody was quitting. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. And I think the other thing that we might tend to forget sometimes is, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Donald Trump or Joe Biden or pick anybody. This energy that's coming down is an equalizer, and I don't think anybody is excluded from the ramifications of what's occurring to the body, the evolution of the body, the expansion of the consciousness, and so on. So
you can enjoy it. You can be excited by it, or you can resist it. And I'm going to tell you, resisting is not the easy way to do it.
No.
Might as well just enjoy this ride. It is immense, and it's what we came here for.
It looks like Danny Kelly was in your dream too. She says, Lenora, last night I was thinking about you. Now I'm seeing you here.
How about that?
Sound has been making a bigger presence, I think, in our lives. Sound healing, the use of non-linguistic sounds, if it's coming from our own vocal cords. You can talk about light language or toning. And I know, you have, a hand in that, and you're going to do something for us today. I'm hoping. But yeah, that's an interesting thing too, is how the nonverbal application and expression of sound, which seems to be innate. It's like an awakening, a catalyst for awakening code as well. That's interesting. I think you probably have a better handle on that than
The sound is going to take the walls down, to use a biblical reference.
Really.
The walls are coming down with powerful sound. And I feel that the dialect of light language is evolving back to the original pure tones. And I really can't explain that in words. But even sound itself is evolving. The way humans express sound is evolving.
Are you getting like ringing in your ears and tones?
I am getting the dog whistle.
The God whistle.
Very, very, and this is not tinnitus or whatever you would call that. I get tones, and I get them at specific times in conversations.
Yes.
So I physically feel vibrational presence. I physically feel it in my hands and around the body, and I hear the very high tones.
Okay.
At specific times.
Okay. So I've noted, now I've heard tones, at least been consciously aware, they may have been there since right around the time I met Morgan, which was in 2015. I would hear these tones. And then when we would talk, I would hear these tones, and I would see these visuals that went with the tones, like when we would be on the phone. Now, so that's been there and people have talked about it. But what I've noticed recently, and I was telling her this last night, is there's this high-pitched tone. And you said whistle. Did you say whistle? What did you say?
Like a dog. It's so high.
Yeah.
You almost don't recognize it as a tone.
Right.
It's an extraordinary height.
Yeah. And I noticed with this one, now this has been probably hanging around the last week. And this has come in with, you mentioned the hands and the feet. It's come in with this vibration that happens in my hands and my feet. It feels magnetic. It runs through the body sometimes. I've left my body at least one time, maybe two, in the last week, meaning I didn't go to sleep. You know how we get tired during the day and we got to lay down, and that would happen. But then I would just open my eyes, and an hour or two later, I'd be like, what happened? Notice the time change. But this tone that I'm talking about is a really high pitch, a really high pitch. And it has a little bit different something to it. And when you said, or I don't know if you said it, but the way I perceived it was like a whistle. So if you look at a whistle, there's that ball inside, that I guess must vibrate and have something to do. And there's like a little something to it. Like,
yes,
it's
there's something to it. There's something
it has like this little thing to it. And it's a tone, but it has this, I don't want to say beat, but it's like, like it's something's moving like that. So it's almost, I don't know, like a vibrational tone or something, but that's been happening over the last few days. Yeah. Which is, I don't know what it means. I haven't checked in with it and tried to ask it or anything, but I guess I'll get to that at some point.
Yeah, you can ask if you'll get it in words, although you may get it in an understanding.
Yeah,
a
true.
nonverbal understanding.
Yeah. I know that one I had, the one that was the bigger one, was that I lay down to go to bed. It's actually happened twice, but the first time I think is the one I can really remember. And I laid down and I didn't even try to connect. All of a sudden I was just connected and I could feel myself being pulled, and it felt physical, like a vacuum. And again, I didn't go to sleep. So it was say 12 o'clock at night. And I ended up waking up an hour and 45 minutes later. And it was like I opened my eyes and went, wow, where did I go, or what happened? Right now, my body was definitely vibrating, my hands and feet especially. And just prior, a few hours prior, Morgan had sent me a message saying I'm disappearing. Then I saw a lady's comment on YouTube said I'm disappearing, and then I saw people talking about vibration and feeling like the earth moving. That's what I was feeling. But when I came to, the only thing I could remember was I remember like, and I had to do it like a metaphor because it wasn't like words, or I can't, but as a metaphor, this would be accurate. It was like the room filled up with a bunch of orbs, and they were all had a tone, and they were all like talking to me or transmitting. And I remember going, hey, slow down. It's too much, right? Like it's just too much for my brain or too much for my human. That's the only thing I can remember about it.
But you definitely raised your frequencies. You definitely came up in frequencies. Where you went, I have no idea, but you definitely came up in frequencies.
I don't
to
either.
get that.
I don't either. And like I know
It's
last night was a big night, but I cannot remember things to the point where I could explain them. I can recall being in collaboration, working on things with people, probably on and around this show. And I can remember that. I can remember like a console again, like we're looking at stuff and we're pushing buttons and planning things, but I don't remember the details, and I don't remember any of the people last night.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It really is. It's effing exciting. It really is.
I'm loving it.
Which
And
is
outside
crazy.
just smells different.
Yeah.
I can't even explain that, but there's an extreme cleanness about the air now. When I go out and I'm surprised. What's that?
Mm.
I'm smelling the new earth. It's great. Gorgeous.
I was talking about this a couple of days ago in a couple of shows where I went for a drive to, just to go run some errands or whatever. And 4 or 5 times, because I don't live in a big town, it takes like 4 minutes to get to Walmart and so on. But I kept seeing things. Like I would look at an inanimate object. I'd glance, like say it was a sign, like in the front of a business, like, and I'd look over there and I'd see it move. And I'd think, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? And then I'd look over here and the same thing would happen. And then in my house, it happened Saturday. Like Saturday for me seemed to start a big surge for like 3 days. And I looked over, or I could see on my peripheral, this black mass move across the room. And I hadn't had anything happen like that in a while. And I was like, wow, I wonder what that means. Do I need to like worry about this? No, because I don't believe in that stuff. And as I'm talking to myself, I look the other way, and in my peripheral, a white mist moves across the room. And so one of the things that I'm getting is there, and I can't explain it, but one of the things I'm getting is there's more and more soul family or team showing up. And I'm trying to engage that, saying, okay, how does our relationship work? Are you just here to support me? And I know you can't interfere, but I mean, can we communicate? What are you trying to tell me, or what's going on? Yeah, somebody said blue orbs.
You can feel it right now. You can actually feel the vibrations right now of connection.
Yeah.
It's not communication in words always, but we are far more connected than ever before.
And I think there's also for me over like the last 2 or 3 months, there's been a lot of previous incarnation flashes come in, not to like not in like respect to, oh wow, I was such and such in a past life. It's not like that. It's more like, do you remember this? Do you remember Mesopotamia? Do you remember Samaria? Atlantis? And really, what's kind of interesting for me was there's Lemuria, there's Atlantis, there's Avalon, there's Samaria. Let's just say Egyptian. But what I was picking up was stuff before all this, and my impression was that we've had not 5 or 10 civilizations or ages, of civilizations, but we've had like hundreds of them on the earth that we don't even know about, right? Like the ones that we recall are the ones that you see online or people talking about are the most recent, especially since the flood. But so I don't know what that is, but it kind of makes sense to me that as if we get those pieces, that it will contribute to us having a greater sense of our awareness of ourselves and each other and how it all works. Somebody mentioned walk-in. Have you had any? Well, I'm not real relatable to the walk-in thing.
Are you talking about remembering? Because I do have like a sense memory
Really?
here and there that pops in at odd moments. Or in my sleep, I wrote a song in a language I don't know,
Is that right?
which was crazy.
Did you sing it?
I sung it in my sleep, and I woke up, and I just changed one word to make it into a modern language, but otherwise it was something else. And then there was a word I was with my stepdaughter, and we were in caves, and she said, you won't be able to get this until you can get into the muchisu or some kind of word like that. And I was like, oh, I totally understood it in a dream, but I woke up, I'm like, what's a muchisu? I have no idea what this is.
Muchishu.
So I have no idea what language that was, but I understood it in a dream. And in another dream, I told gentleman was helping me get into what looked like a booth of light, and I could only go in alone. And so all of these things are happening, and they could be happening at exactly the same time, just in another timeline,
Right.
or they could be memories.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know chronology. That's linear.
Yeah. Yeah. See, my ears are starting to bug out right now. Okay, so I'll throw this at you. So I try, obviously I do this every day, and I've been doing this for 10 plus years. So my mind is I've always understood that, one of my purposes is to be a collaborator in Soulogy. And I keep feeling like the winds of change. And I look at a couple of things. One, the power of collective collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And you might say group meditation but it doesn't have to be restricted to that. But kind of stepping out of the box, which has become a box from the box we stepped out of. So say the first box was the program that we were all in. We step out as we got our intel and say, like, my next box, let's say was, and it's not, but let's just say it was Soulogy, are really more of a template of what is this other box, which is not a box because I'm stepping out of this box of the conditioning and the programming. But now there's another one. It's like the things that got us this far from the point of our reawakening have now served us, and it's time to step into. And maybe this is what you're talking about with, creating, intentionally creating the new earth from the imagination, thoughts, words, and actions. And so so far what I'm picking up from that is it's about like in these moments like we're having right now, to take the vortex, which is comprised of anyone watching live and on a replay because there is no linear, and mobilizing that energetic force with pure intent and alignment for a specific whatever. say, to bring down the walls of the matrix even further with ease and grace for all involved, for the highest and best for all involved, something like that. Or, hey, Lenora, why don't you get your singing bowls out and let's just see what happens?
Let's just see what happens. I love that because that is as organic as it gets.
Yeah.
In the moment.
That's a big word now. Organic, I think, is a big, important word for all of us.
That's what's authentic right now. Really being able to be in the now moment. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this back just a little bit and move this bowl over here so that this is the odds of it getting played are greater than the odds of it getting kicked. I'm going to have some water to support my voice. Cheers.
Cheers. 4:44, New York City time. Yslini Linares.
Again?
Terry
Again?
Yeah, it's
I
4:44.
always see 4:44.
I know. I kept seeing all day long yesterday. Like it's happening every day, but all day long yesterday, I kept getting 3:33, 2:22. I woke up yesterday at 11:11. I kind of went back to sleep because I had a 1:00 show. I wake up and it's 12:12. I'm like, you can't make this shift up,
No, you can't make this up. This is the universe telling you, okay, you put me together for you. Are you watching?
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I got all this reachable. You may not see me, but you'll hear my music here and there. I'm having the bowls a little closer than I usually do, but that is perfectly fine as long as I know what I'm doing. Or I can at least live in the illusion I know what I'm doing. All right, so
I got
you
chills
have
running.
4:44. All right, so you know what? I'm going to have to just start with.
We got 4:44, and Pamela Horter just went to the grocery store, and her bill was 44.44.
Oh my gosh!
You can't make this stuff up.
That's just it. That's just nuts.
I'm going to turn my mic off. Wow. Thank you for that. Does that take a lot of energy out of you? I'm just curious, like a channel almost. Yeah.
It it takes a lot of energy, and it gives a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's very hard to explain this, but it's really being with the bowls.
Yeah.
It's just a very special way of playing, a very flexible way of playing instruments that just have some magnificent sound to them.
Donna has an interesting comment. She says, "This is the first time I've heard the singing bowls and haven't felt the urge to vomit and no headache. Your lower octave chanting is activating an equilibrium."
Thank you.
That's what I noticed about your tone. It does have this lower octave going on, and it's dreamy. It's like I don't know, but while you were doing that, I kept seeing this Trinity symbol. Like I was seeing like this white, kind of like a sphere, like a semicircle.
I
So
see.
like say it was half underground, and it was just pure white light, and then above it was this really big cross. But I knew that was the Trinity symbol, right? Like, um, I don't know if you ever like been driving down the highway. You're in Canada, right? Are
No,
you
I'm
in?
in New York.
You're in New York. Okay, so
You're
like you. I
close.
don't,
I'm up in the Albany, New York area.
oh, you're in Albany. Uh,
Yeah.
but like you'll be driving down the road, and every now and then you'll see a really big cross, a big white cross on top of a hill for a church or something, like a really big one. I know they have one down the road here, and I saw this cross coming or above this sphere. But yeah, that was just incredible. That was beautiful. That's really amazing what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Yeah,
It has both angelics and grounding in it,
yeah,
and so that's why the high tones and the low tones, working with both of those octaves.
yeah, yeah. I get that now that you say that. Yeah, because it's not just the lower octave. You are going up, and then you kind of have this. I mean, like this. There's a almost like a scale, like a musical scale when you're doing that. Like you're up and up and down, almost like a massage, motion. It's pretty amazing.
It's
And
it's
that all
it's
just
listen.
comes to you. Uh, I mean, like you don't have like a sheet music. I mean,
Oh
it's just
no,
it's always
no
different.
notation. It's just
Yeah.
in me to
So
be.
this song that you wrote in your dream, did you write it down? Is it in your
I
head?
did, I did,
Is it a
and
song
it
that you
was
sing, or is it a song that you play, or what is it?
um uh it was I never. It was just a chorus. It never ended up getting verses.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to try and think if I can remember any of it now. I'll try and sing it. If I can do it. I don't know how I have to.
It's all right. You can if you want. If you don't worry about it. I was just curious about that.
Something like. No, it's not coming to me. If I
Yeah,
don't, it's not coming to me right now. And I
that's
wrote it
okay. Do
a
you?
while ago, but
Yeah.
I did share it on my Facebook probably circa 2016, 2017,
Oh wow, wow.
before
Um,
Singing Bowls.
with singing bowls?
No, that
Oh
was
no.
with guitar.
Oh,
That
with
was with
guitar.
guitar, song.
Wow. Do you, I know
Yes, mhm.
this is a weird question, but do you have any recollection or memory or experience dimensionally in tunnels beneath the earth? Like
That's
tunnels?
interesting that you mentioned. That's interesting that you mentioned it because that came in a dream.
Yeah.
Um, the only experience that I had regarding tunnels beneath the earth was actually in a tour of caverns, Howe
Okay.
Caverns, out in middle New York State, and they were caves, but that was commercially opened tunnels.
Right. Right. I don't know. For some reason, I just was compelled to ask you that. I've had sense of it for a long, long time since I reawoke, but recently, very recently, it's been coming in, and it's just like this. I can't really explain it, but like this massive network of tunnels that are ancient, and there's something about gatherings in
I'm
these
going to
places.
say this, Tom, Todd. Well,
It's
okay.
okay.
Thank you. We're going to use them again.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to vibrate. Okay, we're
Yeah.
going to be using these again. These are going to be very, very important for things that perhaps may not be appropriate to speak of on the air right now. But
Okay. Yeah.
we will have an application for these again.
Yeah. I'm somehow or another my body's resonating with your confirmation. I can't explain
Right,
it. It's in my
right.
teeth. Actually,
This
it's
is
really
happening.
strange.
This is happening, but we have to exchange non-words on this one.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally just picked up on this, and this is the kind of thing that I was referring to earlier. When I said, like for instance, why don't you just break out your bowls and see what happens? And you mentioned the word organic, and I've watched it happen in 3,000 shows with this show, where something will come in, and it could be anything. It could be like yesterday. Um, we started talking about the vibration, this magnetic vibration that I was feeling. Then other people started talking about what they were feeling, and the disappearing sensation, and like whatever comes up organically. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I felt compelled, and I think a lot of times over the years, all of us, we get these impressions in our field, and we don't have the spiritual confidence to say something or to do something. But I think that's going away too. Like it's okay to be weird.
It's
Like,
okay to be weird.
you know,
Absolutely.
I get
Now's
so
the
many.
time.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, I don't know, that's a danger anyway, trying to think in this atmosphere, but there's so many messages that we get every day. And I wish I could answer every one of them, right? I read every one of them, and I'll go to YouTube right before I go to bed, and I'll go right down the list, and I'll acknowledge every one of them with a heart, but I'll read it and then send my gratitude. Same with contributions, the messages, so many messages. But what I'm saying is the message that I guess the theme of the messages that's kind of crescendo, it's kind of like a crescendo. Like I can feel it. It's building, and it's not something that you could measure by the 3D linear world, but it's this whole thing. Like I got one, I think it was a day or two ago, and she kind of epitomized it, this lady, and she said something like, I've been watching for a long time, like 2 years. I don't ever say anything, but this is like, for me, I realized, she said, I thought that other people could do things and were things that I wasn't. But the more I watch the show and hear these guests, the more I realize I'm just like them. Right. And I'm like, wow. like if that's all it's going to take is for us to understand that nobody is lesser or greater than, right? Because in the light worker community, the starseed community, there are a lot of very lit people that have very unique connections or skills and abilities, and you can feel inferior, you know? You can feel like you're missing something, to me, that's kind of like a weak description of what I feel coming on. It's like this subtle, beneath the radar kind of thing that gets activated when Todd says, or somebody says something like, "Hey, do you have any conception or experiences with tunnels under the earth?" Because they've been showing themselves to me the last week in a way they never had before. And then you say what you said, and all the hair on your body stands up, and you go, "Oh, okay, this is it," right?
We activate each other. That's
Yeah.
what's happening in the collective.
Wow. I'm curious. Is this full time for you? I mean, do you have like a 3D job? I mean,
I have a
you're.
3D job, and I'm probably going to be attending to it in about 15 minutes or so. I
Ah,
have some part time. I have
hmm,
very, very part time 3D work that I do. Otherwise, my job with the singing bowls and sessions, uh, it's scheduling within certain daytime hours. So that's 3D ish, but more 5D.
yeah, yeah. I just was wondering
Yeah.
what your day was like. Do you spend a lot of time alone with the bowls? I
I,
mean,
I spend I spend I spent a lot of time with light workers online,
yeah,
um, just supporting each other. I spend a lot of time alone in my room, just being,
yeah,
just feeling the vibrations and what comes in. You might call it meditation, and I'm just sitting.
yeah.
I'm just sitting in presence.
I can relate to that. And and I find it really strange because I'll be sitting on the couch, and I got to, you know, when we got this place, which is the first place I'd had in a long, long time, last summer or summer 2020, I just sit there or even lay on the couch, and there's no TV, there's no music, and I'm just sitting there like, and then and at 15, 20 minutes will go by, and I'll be like, what the hell are you doing? You need to do this, you need to do that, and that doesn't stick anymore.
Nope,
It's like
you
it's
don't.
okay. You don't have to go build a network uh, today. Like information, like you're already doing it, or I don't know. There's just this whole other level of understanding and way of life that just is totally diametrically opposite of what we've been used to, like
That's right.
schedules and sleep cycles, and you know uh, just the way we interact with each other, and what we are supposed to say or think we have to do. Like all that stuff is just like dropping away. It's really weird. It's not sticking, even if you try to go there. It's pretty wild. Do you have like I know you got to get going, and I do too, but I just want to ask you one last thing. Do you have like a specific presence in your journey, like
I
a
do.
guide or I know like Franco used to say that his primary guide was Yeshua. So when he would have
Uh,
an out of body or a near death experience, he would meet up with Yeshua. That was,
um, okay, primary guide. Got it. Got it.
yeah.
Okay, that's a well known guide. Well known guide. Um, I don't have a specific one. My source self. So I plug into source self. Um, I'm connected with soul family, galactic family. I'm also plugged into a very supportive community,
Yeah.
and we all support each other. And
Is that your,
everyone is self responsible. We're all
yeah.
self responsible as well to be our own guide.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Uh, Speaking of Franco, I talked to Kimberly, his wife, his partner, last night. We talk every few days since he transitioned. So they have their community, and in their community, they had a twice monthly Zoom gathering, and it was called, I think it was called something like "What's Going On with You" or "How are you?" And because of Franco's presence, it tended to be kind of like, let's ask Franco what he thinks kind of thing.
Mm.
But she was telling me that she went to the community like a week ago and gathered them and said, "Look, I want to keep this going. How do y'all feel about that?" And they said, "Yes, we want to do it." And she said, "But I want to change it up. I want us, when we gather for this twice monthly thing where we say how we're doing, that everybody answers. In other words, everybody, when they're moved to, offers, it's almost like a group conversation, that there's no presenter, maybe there's a moderator, but
Right.
and it fits like what you're talking about. I thought, wow, that's
Yes.
really cool. That's really
Mhm.
cool. Everybody has a voice. That's Soulogy too. I mean, everybody has a voice, which I got to say too, just before we get out of here. And if y'all watched the previous show, and I look forward to doing more with Lenora if she's open to it. It's 1:11. We've been on for 1 hour and 11 minutes. uh, but yeah, it's interesting too, because Soulogy Group was is 10 plus. I think going on 10 or 11 years. I can't remember, but so there's certain people that have always popped in very consistently. Not very many though that go as far back as I have known you and watched you. But it's such a pleasure to watch the multi-faceted expansion of these people who get out there and do what they're moved to do, and you're one of them. And so you've been an inspiration to me to keep going many times, and I just want to publicly acknowledge you and thank you for coming in again and sharing space with us and honor us with your presence.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You have a great holiday, and hang on, keep your seatbelt on, and I'll see you down in the catacombs and the caverns and the tunnels of the inner earth, I'm sure.
I'll see you in the tunnels.
You take
Thank you.
care, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was quite incredible. And
Thank you.
you
Thank
just keep on shining. You take care. Love you. Love you all.